Welcome back, everybody, to the Renaissance Humanism podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Riley, and in today's episode, I will be discussing deglobalisation and the future of India. Most nations across the globe have benefited from globalisation, which gave them access to the global trade and international security arrangements with the United States of America and the post-World War II period to 1945 that made the world safe for international shipping. Now it's time to consider what the New World Order could be in regional orders, maybe around the globe. So, for today's podcast, I'll be discussing the possibilities of India's future in a deglobalized world, which will be a world where goods and services are far more expensive. This expense is because rather than nations specializing in certain products and services, nations will need to do their manufacturing, design, and finance within their own country rather than being spread out to a host of other nations with their own specializations. However, this doesn't this doesn't apply to nations like India and power within the Indian subcontinent. What makes India a pocket power is its limited geopolitical positioning related to the Indian subcontinent. It has the Himalayas, which provide natural defenses between India and China, prevent both nations from expanding into each other's direction. Um, and the Chinese do currently control the high ground as far as mountains go as well. So any kind of combat action there, it would favour the Chinese. It would be a brutal campaign for both sides. India's naming countries are Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, China, Maldives, Myanmar, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. I do apologise if I've butchered the name. India is located latitudinally north of the Northern Hemisphere and longitudinally in the Eastern Hemisphere. India's power relations with its neighbours and geography keep India contained in the Indian subcontinent, making it a continental power in terms of size, but in power that is contained. There are some positions within India close to the Persian Gulf and the Arab oil. It could be a new dominant player in the Middle East if it so chooses. Also, should relations with China ever deteriorate, India can stop oil shipments from the Middle East, China, and disrupt other international shippings in the Persian Gulf through the Horn of Africa by targeting international shipping using privateers if it so wished. But that's mainly in a world where deglobalization, international power rather than global power, becomes regional. The world with the United States is no longer interested in protecting international shipping, only American shipping. We see this potential with the rearmament of Japan and Germany, which indicates as America withdraws from the Far East and Europe, regional powers within those geographical areas start to, like nations with their own geopolitical interests secure. In the words of Francis Fukuyama, who wrote The End of History, in reality would argue that the United States of America for over 80 years had stopped history from moving. Now history is moving again, and when history moves, there will not be a global interest by nations not to maintain the old previous order. The UK referendum to leave the European Union and the American election of Donald Trump, placed in 2016, both are symptoms of a growing international political rival of ideologies, with globalists versus national sovereignty. While globalists see the world as unified humanity, where all humans is the same, that people are not different, nor are other nations or cultures special or unique. People who believe in national sovereignty believe that their nation has a unique culture and a special history, and that their nation's entities must be protected and not diluted. Um, the definition of diluted will mean many things to different people. It seems it is an erosion of tradition, national history, and what makes each nation unique, according to my personal point of view. For example, in the United Kingdom and the United States, we have the traditions of liberal democracies, protection of LGBTQ communities, as well as the protection of minorities, which don't exist in places like China or Iran. China sources much of its additional crude oil imports in the first half of 2023 from Russia, Iran, Brazil, and the United States. Um, Compared with average in 2022, China imports from Russia have increased by 23%, Saudi Arabia 7%, from Brazil by 49%. India and the United States of America never really bought into globalization. For the Americans, globalization was a way to buy an alliance to win the Cold War. Uh, the Indians put India interests first, then to maintain minimal interest in forces and trust that were not Indian, which is the reason why India was also very close to the Soviet Union during the Cold War period. On another note, regarding Indian-US relations, the United States of America is trying to build a web of alliances to balance out the rising power of China within the region, which also includes an alliance with India. Unfortunately, Indians look to India first, and it's very unlikely that this alliance will come to fruition. This doesn't make India and the United States enemies. It just makes the potential for international disputes, rivals increase because India doesn't support China, doesn't support Russia, doesn't support the United States of America or anybody. India cares, again, only for India. India gets its energy from near the Persian Gulf, so it's in no serious danger of any kind of energy crisis. India agriculture is largely self-sufficient, and India isn't overly dependent on trade. Regarding global trade with other developing nations, India has been overrun by subsidized goods from China and its manufacturing, squeezing out domestic competition within the actual own Indian market as well. As China begins to become more increasingly elderly, the price of labour will increase, and this gives opportunity for places like India to take over China's position as the world's leading manufacturer. So it's a good opportunity for China, good opportunity for India, even if China continues to decline as well. Um, Also, India, they do face the potential problem within another 30, 40 years to be in the same position which China are in now. Because at the moment, India has a healthy demographic. It's a pure pyramid, with the top age being around 35 years old in India. Now, ideal for demographics is to be built a pyramid. So you've got few old people at the top, a lot of young people at the bottom, and young people in the middle as well. So you've got people to have new generations as well. So reaction pregnancy starts at 35 years old. At a 35-year-old, it gets increasingly hard for a woman to carry a baby to term, and also increasingly hard to actually give birth as well. So it's a big issue as well. And this happens in all nations that are industrialized as well, because industrialization in the West began in the 18th century and the 19th century. As nations industrialize, people have fewer children because children go from being an asset to being a liability. Overall, I'd say for India's future, no matter what happens, will most likely be positive, providing it doesn't have the same birthing problems as China, and that they actually have a healthy population where the successive generations actually have children to replace themselves as well. But we just have to wait and see what happens. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you for your time and consideration. Peace out.